Hi, today I want to talk to you about values, principles, and how these are important at work, and how you can also create stories for your interviews. Because very often you will be asked about your values in an interview, and maybe the question is not as direct as what are your values, what are your principles, but they're hidden in other questions. For example, what is important to you at work? How do you collaborate with others? How do you spend your time? How do you deal with stress? These could all be questions that indicate that they would like to understand some of your values and principles. And because this is not something we're usually so aware of, my advice to you would be to go through the exercise where you look into the proverbs that you learned as a young person. And from these proverbs, you think about, okay, what does that translate into? What is important to me? Is it work? Is it family? Is it quality? Or maybe client service? What are the values that my parents, my teachers, my mentors, and elderly relatives have taught me in the past? And how does that translate into the professional person that I am today? And in order to translate that, a good idea is to come up with some principles. And a principle is something that applies to you 90% of your time. Not all the time, obviously. We all have bad days. Yeah, even I do have bad days occasionally. But if you think of it as something that applies to you 90% of the time, you could actually phrase it in a sentence that starts with an I and then followed by a verb, and then the principle. For example, I prefer my clients over processes. So if one of my clients calls, that is more important to me than filling a form, for example. Or another principle could be, I value my time, which means that I don't engage in time-wasting gossip. So these are principles. Good luck with doing the exercise, and let me know how you proceed and send it to me for checking. I would also like to encourage you to consider symptoms of culture shock that you might be experiencing right now. Indications of cultural adjustment could be a complete sign of overwhelm at the slightest task. For example, the paper bundling suddenly feels overwhelming. Or going to the supermarket suddenly gives you anxiety because you feel like you're doing everything wrong, you can't find what you need. Another indicator of cultural adjustment is that you do not want to engage with the locals anymore. You feel like retracting, staying at home, not going out of the house. That could all be signs of cultural adjustment. And if you feel those signs, there are a few things you can do to help yourself. Some of the things we already recommended to you. However, I just want to reiterate, it is really helpful if you get into your body. For example, go to the gym or go for a walk, even if it's a slow and small walk. Find a yoga studio in your neighborhood and go to the yoga studio. Now, try to get a bit out of your head. And that could help also your body to adjust to the host country. And another thing that I would like you to look at are the 7 steps of presence, where we also teach clients to go through those 7 steps so that they have more presence when they are in interviews. And I will share another video on the 7 steps of presence later on with you. We have a worksheet for you on your different roles that you're playing, because that could also have an influence on how you show up at work. The worksheet is called You and Your Roles, and I look forward to seeing your results. All the best, and speak to you soon.